Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, we had a double walk-off from Rory and Steph. We get all into the golf action from this past weekend in the Barbasol Championship and a fun note from the LPGA as well. Plus, it is the Open Championship week. It's here. The countdown to our Ireland trip is here as well. I can almost taste the Guinness. We'll get into all the details coming up. Plus, we're tuned into some blockbuster hype around movies this summer and tennis. That's right, tennis. Plus, this week's guest, we have Alissa Kacar back on the show. You know her as the new Lady Golfer on Instagram. She just got back from Ireland and gets us ready for our bucket list trip that's right around the corner. It's Outback Steakhouse, bread talk, plain eating, and a restaurant review when we always end with food. And all of it on this week's episode brought to you by our friends at Desert Fox Golf. We love talking about Desert Fox Golf because they're the best source for golf events and large-scale golf gear for any size group. They do customized gear, whether it's the Desert Fox phone caddy, the Swing 8 tumbler, the cigar holder, or anything else they have to offer on desertfoxgolf.com. It's a great fit for any large event. If you're hosting a large event, be sure to tell them Course of Life sent you. And if you order over 100 pieces, you get a $100 cash referral just for booking your order with Desert Fox Golf. That's right. It's a really great locally run company in Arizona that does everything for you, putting out great golf products for your cart, your gear, and a good time. So again, check them out at desertfoxgolf.com.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf and the Live Take app. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, all of the drama was in the greater English continent island area over there, across the pond between London and the Scottish Open. And let's start at the Scottish Open before we go to all the other drama that happened outside of golf, too, because it was just a drama-filled weekend of
good
upsets
sports
and
weekend.
Big things, everything. Great weekend. Rory McIlroy has now won just about every single Open championship out there. Now claiming the Genesis Scottish Open with his birdie finish to claim the victory over local Scotsman Robert McIntyre. So does this now mean Rory's not going to win this weekend?
It's that week before the major thing, which is weird. We've been seeing a lot of big names do that in recent years. And you always kind of wonder as you go to the betting window, God, I don't really know if it's going to strike 2 weeks in a row. I guess he's maybe one of the few players in the world that could overcome that successfully and play well at a course he's already won at. But it is a little bit of a weird vibe where it's like great to see him in this form, but also don't know if he's going to repeat that feat with a winning performance 2 weeks in a row. And like you said, this guy's the king of Open championships. So we get the Scottish Open. We are going to be very locked into the Irish Open, which we'll have a lot of coming in the future weeks of the Course of Life podcast. What else has he got, Mike? He's got a U.S. Open, right? He's got an Open.
He's got a
Canadian Open. He's got a Canadian Open. I think he won a couple in Australia or Asia as well, too. So he's the king of the Opens, basically. So another impressive win for him. And for me, it's the knockdown, the second shot on 18. He hit this blistering low fade that maybe didn't go 20, 25 feet off the ground into a 30-mile-an-hour breeze, Mike. Get ready for those words from me. Okay. That's a precursor of things to come, but Rory seemed to tame it perfectly. Birdie finish to get it done. Very impressive and heartbreak, like you mentioned, for the local Robert McIntyre.
Yep. Just shouting out other names that did very well during the week. Of course, Robert McIntyre, we have to think, what's he going to do at the Open in a week next weekend? Scotty Scheffler, another top 5, top 10 finish here. Tied for third. Yeah,
the worst number one ranked golfer maybe ever. It's like the worst best golf ever from Scotty Scheffler. He's like never at the top of the board, but he's always finishing in the top 5 or 10. I don't think he's exited the top 10 or 20 in like a ridiculous amount of months, but yet we all feel like something's wrong with him. It's a strange spot that he finds himself in right now.
We talked about the Højgaard twins last week, and Nikolai did very well again. Tie 6. Terrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, would one of them raise the claret jug next weekend? And Tom Kim, he's the other one, which I think is worth pointing out. He did finish poorly, bogey, double bogey, but Tom Kim, could he hoist the claret jug?
Yeah, I mean, he's possibly on the list as well. My picks were circling last week. Didn't get the winner, obviously, because of Rory, but I had McIntyre, I had Tom Kim, and I had Fleetwood. God, Tommy Fleetwood, Mike. I said this last week, and now we say it going into a major championship on his home turf. The guy is super overdue for a win. I don't know if it's going to be on a major stage like this week, but I mean, how do you not put him on your card to at least finish in the top 5 or 10 this week? The guy's just a leaderboard maggot this summer.
It's just crazy that he hasn't won. He's been very close these last few weeks. His play is very good. So you got to think he's riding the right high right now as we head into the Open Championship, which we'll talk about more of in a little bit. For now, though, let's talk about the Barbasol. They were outside of Lexington, Kentucky for that event, which I think didn't get as much bluster maybe as we would think it should get.
No, it was a birdie fest in a certain aspect. It always gets a little bit overshadowed. There was obviously the TV mess of the Sunday tee times getting moved forward at the Scottish Open. So everyone on golf Twitter was in a kerfuffle over that and missing the appropriate parts of the Sunday action and all that. But in the end, the Barbasol was the afternoon closer for PGA Tour fans. And it did come down the stretch to a playoff between Vincent Norman and a debut pro, Mike. Nathan Kimsey literally making his first PGA Tour start. He could have made history, but Norman, after kind of fumbling the bag on the 18th hole, got it done in the playoffs. So shout out Vincent Norman getting his first PGA Tour win. Hey, listen, Barbasol, Travelers, Wells Fargo, it counts. It counts as a PGA Tour win, so he's on the board.
That's right, indeed. It's too bad for Nathan Kimsey. Led a 64 on Sunday isn't enough to win a championship for you.
Pretty wild. First event on tour, almost won. That would have been crazy. I think that was only done once, maybe like 30, 40 years ago or something like that. So close call for Kimsey. We'll definitely see both those names in the years to come for sure.
So Vincent Norman now gets to be the fish out of water and hop on a plane and get all the way over to the Open Championship.
I love that. That's so awesome.
So
good for him.
Good for him. Let's talk about some other things that happened in the world of golf. The LPGA Tour had the Dana Open, and really, other than Lynn Grant winning her first LPGA Tour title, coming over from Europe, so good for her. We got to talk about the high schooler.
Yeah, this is my segment I love to bring up, where I bring up astonishingly great LPGA accomplishments early in life that make us feel inadequate as 30-something-year-old adults that can't play the game and may never break par in our life. This is a 15-year-old girl, Mia Hammond, who's a sophomore in high school, Mike. Sophomore in high school, Monday qualified, unbelievable performance, makes the cut and plays the weekend, plays all 4 rounds. Really impressive stuff. Love making you feel inadequate with another teenager doing amazing things on the LPGA Tour. Yeah,
I just know I'm inadequate. I've just settled with my inadequacies, but I like to tell people that I am far more superior than they are. So
this is one of those situations where I would love to just like play around with her at a municipal course and just kind of use her as a ringer and just challenge 2 guys that think they're king shit at a golf course and just absolutely take them down, because Mia Hammond would definitely do that. She's clearly got no nerves at 15, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see her qualify for, or better yet, not even qualify. She might get some exemptions into some future LPGA events off this performance, so should be interesting to see.
I mean, the future of women's golf looks great between her and Rose Zhang, so it's just like, seriously, it's going to be great few maybe decade or 2 on the LPGA Tour for sure. The ACC celebrity event was in Lake Tahoe. This really is only important because Steph Curry just is always fun to watch on the golf course.
This guy, like, can he save some talent for the rest of the world? It's like, do you have to be this good at everything? It's kind of ridiculous, man. Like, let's just review. I'm going to lead with the most important part of Steph Curry's career. He helped co-produce Holy Moly. Let's remember that. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's get that career highlight out first and foremost. Also, he has 4 NBA championships and multiple MVPs. The guy's basically a scratch golfer, and he took down the field for the first time at basically the Super Bowl of celebrity golf in Lake Tahoe. They played every year. It was on NBC. Beautiful waterside vibes and a walk-off eagle, Mike. Yeah. I know you saw the highlight on Saturday as well, too, but the celebrations absolutely ringing through for Steph Curry all weekend.
The hole-in-one and him running the entire length of that par 3 to get to the green and get the ball. And then just the exuberance of that eagle putt to win on 18 as well. This is the kind of celebration we want in golf. We want to see these guys loosen their shit is what we want. So
it does make you think, like, why can't an exuberant PGA Tour player just start running around the green? Like, I vaguely remember Aaron Baddeley taking kind of a victory jog lap in recent years, but I want someone to just go full sprint crazy mode. Like if they win the waste management next winter or something like that, that would be an absolute scene. And Curry provided that in Tahoe. It's unbelievable. You'd think like that would only carry over in basketball. Here he is with one putt to win, a 3-pointer at the buzzer. Lo and behold, he steps up, cool as a cucumber. The putt was never not going in. So really impressive stuff for Steph Curry. As if we don't blabber on enough about his basketball game, he's also an amazing golfer too. Unbelievable.
We also need to shout out past guest and former Red Sox world champion, Kevin Millar.
Thanks. Yeah, I think top 10 for Kevin or something like that. He was playing very well. Yeah. Got some shine on NBC, and the game's coming around for him. He was talking about how he'd been working on his driver swing when we had him on the podcast a couple months ago. Be sure to check the archives for that interview. That's a great conversation I had with him in person in Dallas, and he's hitting it big on the celebrity golf circuit. So hopefully, maybe Kevin gives himself a chance at one of these titles in the years to come.
All right, Alex, I want to ask you a question based on some revelations that came out over this past week. And that is that if I gave you a literal truckload of cash, would you let me get to do whatever I want in the world of golf and have membership to Augusta and the R&A and all this stuff?
Probably, yeah, I would. Yeah,
okay. Well, that's exactly what PIF chairman, His Excellency Yasser
Al-Ramayan, I'm getting good at it.
Said, supposedly wanted to get in some of the original proposals of this live and PGA merger, or whatever we're calling it. And it's just, I read that original proposal and some of the points that came out of the Congressional hearing this week. And it was just kind of like, how did we get past this and keep talking?
Yeah. And the funny one I saw was Tiger captaining and playing full time on his own live team. Yeah, Tiger Woods playing 15 events a year. That's going to happen soon. Yeah.
It sounds like this whole original proposal from the PIF was a non-starter for the PGA Tour, and I just wonder how we then got from there to here.
The Augusta membership reminded me of just like a classic moment you see in TV or movies where what you do is you kind of throw in something at the end and you mix it in between like a salad of different requests as well too. Yeah. So basically it's kind of like when you're leaving the house and you're telling your wife, like, I'm going to go out to Home Depot. I'm going to fix the backyard. I'm going to wash the car. We're going to go to the golf course. I'm going to go over to Target, and then I'm going to get those groceries you wanted, and I'll be back. Sound good? Say, well, what was that? Wait, what did you mix in there? Oh, you mean Target? No, not the groceries. Yeah, the golf course. Yeah. I'm going to get 18 holes in as well today. I forgot to mention that too.
It might be 36 actually. We'll see how it goes.
I don't know. There could be traffic too. It's just a thought. I don't know. I just had to slide that in there. I love the way he just slid this. Oh, and by the way, Tiger and Rory are going to be captains. I'm going to get a membership to Augusta National. Wait, excuse me? What was that? really caught everyone off guard there. But honestly, it's so ridiculous. I kind of commend him for trying to slide it in there. While he's taking over the entire world of golf and just grabbing it all for himself, he's also asking for like the most prized membership in the world. I commend the balls and the gall of him to ask for something like that at this moment.
Just crazy. And once again, it illustrates just how much was going on behind the scenes between very few people to orchestrate a deal for Saudi Arabia to sport wash to their heart's content and buy the world of golf. So that's my commentary on all of that for the moment.
Goofy stuff from the Liv merger. And yeah, obviously these goofy, wild headlines will cease to end for sure.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Open Championship. This is maybe where the wheels came off for real on the whole PGA Tour Live Golf drama last year, where Cam Smith hoisted the claret jug, and then shortly after, he bolted his way to Live Golf, where he is looking to defend. Of course, they are at Royal Liverpool, which is where Rory McIlroy won his Open Championship. So we have, I'm going to say, 2 defending champions this week. And it's going to be really interesting. I would love to see the 2 of them paired come Sunday.
And that was kind of a little bit of the duel last year, if you remember. There was that vibe that Rory could come through and get it done. But alas, Cam Smith did win last year, and he is the defending champion. Rory kind of defending last week's crown, kind of defending the 2014 crown at Liverpool. obviously he's topping the betting list as the favorite, pretty much 5-1 odds to win on Rory, like a leaps ahead of Scotty Scheffler around 7 or 8-1. So that tells you kind of where the odds makers are placing him. It feels like it's his to lose. I hate to say it like that, but he's in that rare space of form and comfort and where he is in the globe. This is when he thrives. This feels like a major that could be taken down by him, but truth be told, Mike, I'm looking in a different direction for my picks. I am.
I mean, there's so many guys playing really well right now that you want to have win this major. Scotty Scheffler hasn't finished outside of the top 12 since October. Since October, he's been in the top 12.
It's absurd. Since football season, Scotty Scheffler has been in the top 10 every week.
I know. John Rahm won the Masters. Again, Rory back at the course where he won. Ricky, who finished in tie for second at Royal Liverpool in 2014.
How about a player that has 4 top 10s in the Open that also won a major championship this year, who you haven't mentioned yet?
That could be interesting.
Brooksy? How about Brooksy Koepka? Around 20-1. Not a bad look.
And the other guy I'm going to throw out there is the only guy, the last player to go back-to-back at the Open Championship, who's also playing very well. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Also playing well back-to-back.
He's not on the PGA Tour anymore, though.
Oh, geez. Not Phil.
Patty Harrington.
Oh, well, I have my Run Your Pool article up, and I have a prop bet article as well, Mike. The top senior prop bet. You can bet on the top guy 50 and over.
Oh, yeah.
Hammer Padre Harrington.
Oh, so much.
Unload your life savings responsibly within your own means. Unload your life savings on Padre Harrington to win that. Basically, all he's got to do is he's got to beat Phil and he's got to beat Stuart Sink, your boy. After that, pretty much everyone's out of contention. So and also, I like Padre Harrington to be the top senior.
The other thing here with Patty Harrington, he is one of 8 players in the field who's competed at Royal Liverpool in 2006, 2014, and now in 2023. So he's got a lot of course knowledge coming in.
It could be a local. How about Shane Lowry, an Irishman who's won the Open before? Again, we mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. I'm gonna the other name who's actually riding under the radar, who's won an Open in recent years. Jordan Spieth's game is not, I would not say it's really in super great form, but this is one of those tournaments where he lets his creativity fly. He uses the ground as his friend. He hits a lot of different shots. I think he gets a little bit out of his head when he's just playing a classic link style golf where he doesn't overthink things. I'm putting Jordan Spieth on my card. Take a look at runyourpool.com for my full list of picks, but that's a tease of who I might like this week.
All right, let's switch over to Tuned In, where we share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. And really, it's not just sports, it's golf. It's really outside of the world of golf, because we have to talk about Wimbledon. This is where the other drama was in Europe during the weekend, because we had a unseeded women win, and we had Novak Djokovic lose for the first time in like 50 years at Wimbledon.
A couple shockers in the final. Ons Jabeur was like a going away favorite to win that final, and was definitely surprised in that upset victory. And then on the men's side, Mike, what an epic final that was. Yeah. I rarely tune in for like more than 80% of a tennis match in full, but I was in for all of that finale, which lasted almost 5 hours. And Carlos Alcaraz, Mike, I told my dad and my wife, who I was watching with, as Alcaraz was beating Djokovic, this is kind of like, imagine a young Rory McIlroy staring down Tiger Woods in his prime and beating him. That's kind of the vibe I was getting. You were seeing the next generation being ushered in, this 20-year young star getting it done like on the biggest stage. It was very cool to see in real time.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty impressive to see him be able to do this, and it's also just I think the question is Carlos Alcaraz the new Spaniard king in tennis? Is that what he's going to do now?
I called him the John Rahm of tennis. How do you like that? He's got that same kind of fire too. What's with the Spaniards and that fire? I kept saying yesterday. I was like, he just gives off so many John Rahm, Sergio Garcia, Ryder Cup fist pump vibes. Like every time he hit a winner, and I couldn't help think of that. So I mean, listen, Mike, the King of Spain gave him a standing O throughout the entire finale. What a performance in front of the King! So really impressive stuff from Alcaraz. That was his second major too. So this is becoming old hat for him at 20 years young.
I think this is interesting, too, to look at. So you remember Rafael Nadal. We all remember Rafael Nadal. He's still playing tennis out there. He beat Federer for his first Wimbledon victory. Another great, at the time, the greatest to play the game.
Love that.
And now we have another Spaniard taking down the greatest to play the game.
It's funny how that lineage works, because we talk about that again with the golf comparison. Remember, we had Jose Maria Olazabal ushering in a young Sergio in the Ryder Cup. And then we had Sergio ushering in a young Jon Rahm in the Ryder Cup. And that's foreseeably going to hand itself down again. It's funny how that kind of lineage works for the Spanish athletes. But Alcaraz taking full advantage of it. That was really impressive to watch. Check out the highlights if you haven't seen them yet.
All right. What were you tuned into this past week?
I'm all about the hype surrounding these summer blockbuster movies, Mike. So we got 3 on the buffet plate right now.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me one you're in on, one you're out on, and one you're kind of meh on. So we've obviously got the Barbie movie. Every commercial in the world is pink right now. Everyone's in on the Barbie movie. We've got Mission Impossible, starring Tom Cruise, the action hero, blockbuster hero himself, and then we've got Oppenheimer, all kind of on the plate right here. So which one are you in on? Which one are you out on? Which one are you meh on?
I'm in on all 3.
I love it.
I want to see all 3. I got to be honest. Of all 3, though, I'm probably not going to see Oppenheimer in the theater because I'm sorry. I can't do like 3 hours in a movie theater anymore.
That's a tough length for me, too. I am in on Oppenheimer. You're right. But that length is a non-starter for me. I think I've got a pretty hard cap at like 2 hours, 2:15 for me when it comes to in-theater movies.
Yeah, we're getting to that age where, halfway through a movie, I get up and go to the bathroom, and 3 hours is just too much.
My wife makes fun of me because every single time we go into the movie theater, regardless of even if I just went to the bathroom like 30 minutes earlier, I will still go on the way to the theater in the bathroom. And I kind of laugh at myself for it, but I'm justified now that you said that. So thank you.
It's every time. That's the problem with those Marvel movies now. They're so long, you got to take a break, but they're nonstop action, so you never know when to take a break. Kind of start wearing a diaper to the theater or something. So,
I'll be curious to see what the hype is between those 3 movies over in Ireland or something. Who cares the most? I'm thinking that's maybe more of a Mission Impossible crowd. We'll see. But regardless, big time blockbuster movies coming out this week.
All right, let's get into this week's guest as we prep and pack this week for our trip to Ireland. You got to catch up, Alex, with a past guest of the show who does regular golf trips to Ireland.
Yeah, we needed a little bit of trip prep, We had Elizabeth Diane Veith on last week. Now we're having another friend of the show back on. Alissa Kacar, her as new Lady Golfer on Instagram. She does some really awesome golf travel content. And I kept seeing her go to Ireland, so I had to hit her up and ask her for all the tips and tricks to getting around the golf courses there in Ireland. And a lot of stuff for anyone who's planning a trip out there in the coming months as well.
We'll get to that conversation with Alissa in just a moment, but first let's talk to you about our friends at the Live Take app. This is where sports debates are solved at once and for all. You can challenge other people, your friends on the app, to share their hot takes and see who everyone agrees with and who may be right. And I think this is particularly interesting, Alex, because last week our Live Take was which of the big 4 sports would you eliminate? You said Major League Baseball.
That was a hot take, and you said the NFL.
I said the NFL.
Wow.
And as of right now, on this Monday afternoon when we're recording, I have surged into the lead, and people agree with me that the NFL should go away.
Which is fascinating, because even after we did that live take, you were like a little squeamish on what the results might be.
I knew they wasn't going to win, and yet somehow over the last 48 hours.
Mike, the people have let their voice be heard on the Live Take app, and you've actually been proven right, despite the fact that even you yourself thought you might be wrong. Amazing. Wow.
It just goes to show you just need people on your side to make you confident. So that's what you get. Or maybe not confident if that's how the people actually disagree with you. It's whatever you want. So you get the people decide the winner, not just your friends. You can challenge us on the app. He's COL Podcast. Alex, I'm COL Podcast. Michael, we'll do a live take every week there as well. Golf and other things, like we just said, MLB versus NFL. We've done Who's the GOAT as well. Joey Chestnut or Tom Brady. Joey Chestnut was the GOAT, by the way.
Yeah, and I already have ours this week. So head over to the Live Take app this week, and you're going to hear us debate a 427-yard driver versus a 225-yard pitching wedge. Which one's more impressive? How about that?
It's going to be a fun conversation for sure. So check out the Live Take app on your app store and get it on your phone and let your take be heard.
All right, next up on the tee, we have a return guest joining us. She's the host of Golf Life TV, an event host for the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. She does all sorts of golf travel content around the world. So I figured what better guest to have us here to help us prepare for our trip to Ireland. It's Alissa Kacar joining the Course of Life. Alissa, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back again. I'm looking forward to catching up since we last spoke.
Definitely. It's been a little bit over a year. She goes by the new Lady Golfer on IG if you're not following already. I want to quickly get a couple of news and notes out of the way because we had a big win in professional golf for someone I know that you have a lot of ties to. I want to talk about Ricky's win at the Rocket Mortgage most recently. He's been one of my favorite golfers forever. And I know you have a really cool connection to him, not only through the Farmers, but some recent work you've done as well.
Yeah, it was so good to see him win again. I mean, he's one of, genuinely nice guy on the tour. And I've always had really nice interactions with him, whether it be Farmers or when I did the Pop Stroke Tour Championship, got to really be around the course and get a lot of good interview FaceTime with him and Paula Creamer. And it's just nice to see kind of that monkey come off of his back and get back in the winner's circle since it's been quite a few years now since he's been there.
Yeah, that was a really appropriate reaction by him. It wasn't so much like the jubilation of winning. It was just that sigh of relief, like, oh my God, I'm finally back. So it was good to see.
Absolutely. Very happy for him. He deserves it. Good to see him back there. And hopefully that's a sign, working with Butch Harmon, hopefully that's a sign of more good things to come from him.
Yeah, definitely. I think we might see another win out of him later this year, hopefully, optimistically. Let's talk a little bit about your golf game, because the last time we checked in and our audience heard from you, it was about May or June 2022. You had just crushed your first tee shot in front of George Lopez and Lee Trevino. So I want to ask, how's the game been since? Because I know you've already been back to that event once as well.
It's been really good. That was a very special moment for me. The driver has always been my toughest club. And when I had the opportunity to hit that ceremonial tee shot, let alone hit it with legend Lee Trevino, I was very nervous. So that going as well as it did, it's one of my favorite memories of my golf life. And my game's been in a really good place. I still work with Mike Maggs, and I've had the opportunity to do some work with the guys of Me and My Golf. They live in San Diego now from the UK. They also coach and work with Aaron Rai on the PGA Tour, and they've been a addition to my lesson repertoire and have helped me a lot. And one of my main goals for 2023 was to finally break 80. It's been a goal of mine for a few years now, been trying to get there. And in February, I finally did it. So I set that goal at the beginning of 2023. I said, it is happening. And then shortly into February, I was able to do it on a Friday afternoon, just out there playing for fun, not shooting content, not a social media trip, just playing for pure fun. And I shot a 77. So that was a almost like a Ricky Fowler moment where I just felt so relieved, so happy. I've been at a plateau for a bit, and that just felt so good to finally accomplish it. I was so happy.
Definitely,
I was back at the George Lopez event this past May, and they had me hit the first tee shot again at the beginning of to kick the day off. And it went great. I basically hit an identical shot to last year's, but a bit stronger, a bit more aggressive, but still a little bit down the middle, right side of the fairway. You could just tell I had a little bit more confidence with my swing than I did last year.
Nice. Yeah, I can see the game's coming a long way from what I've seen from your clips on social. And it's good to have those goals and chase them down and beat them. And I love to see that you're taking it super seriously. I'm curious regarding the 77. Was there ever a moment where you were thinking about breaking 80? Because my best rounds always tend to happen when I'm focusing as little on the score as possible.
I kind of forget at this point, but I mean, I knew I was playing well. I think I shot a 38 on the front, but I don't like to know my score at the turn because then it messes with me, because I know that if I'm sub 40 through the first 9 holes, that there's a possibility that if I can keep it going, that I'm going to break 80 again. So I don't like to know my score at the turn. And you kind of know, right? If you're playing really well, and if you're basically getting pars or even get a birdie in there and you're not really getting bogeys or double bogeys, you're playing really well. So I I knew I was playing well, but was trying not to worry about score. And it came down the last couple holes, stayed mentally strong, not really thinking too much about score. And I do think I bogeyed 18, but so I was putting for par on 18 for a 76, but I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know where I was at on the back nine. I just knew what I had shot in the front. And then I had missed the putt for par. So I knew I was going to be close. And then we got to the carts and added it up. And then I had done it. So it was really a great moment.
Awesome. Very exciting to see. Again, we're talking with Alissa Kacar, new Lady Golfer on Instagram. I'm having her on a little bit selfishly, not only to get everyone updated on her life, but also to check in on her travels recently, because she just did a golf trip that we are about to embark on for the first time. So it's going to be our first time traveling to Ireland, our first time playing links golf. Tell everyone a little bit about your relationship with golf in Ireland and your recent experiences there as well.
Irish golf is a whole different experience. So you are definitely in for a treat. My boyfriend, his family is from Ireland, the west of Ireland, from a town called Sligo, right on the Atlantic Ocean. It is a beautiful part of the world. And Dublin is an awesome city. I was there for St. Patrick's Day this past year and had a great time. But once you start venturing out of the city and into the country, you will get surrounded by just beautiful green countryside, lots of sheep, horses. It's just beautiful. It's such a beautiful country. And when the sun is out, it sparkles. And the Atlantic Ocean on the west of Ireland, when the sun hits the water, it's a deep blue green. It's hard to explain. It's just beautiful, beautiful coastline. So back to my connection with it, my boyfriend's family is from there, and his childhood friend and friends are members of County Sligo Golf Club, also at Ross's Point. So we played that course. I played 4 times during our 2-week trip. Some other great courses right around that area. There's one called Strand Hill, also right on the water. You have Enniscrone, which is about 40 minutes away, but there are tons of golf courses along the coast and all throughout Ireland. So hopefully you will be able to hit a handful of golf courses, but you should be prepared for absolutely everything, because we had great weather and it was very mild, speak in Ireland weather terms, but I experienced every form of weather element that you could imagine on the golf course this past trip.
Yes, definitely an adversary is the weather from what I've heard. Let's get to that before I get to the other logistics of the trip. Let's talk about the outfit game. I'd consider you probably a fashionista in golf these days. So I got to know what specifically to wear though, but I think it might not be as fashionable as you'd like, because you got to deal with a lot of different elements. So what does the wardrobe look like for a day golfing in Ireland?
So depending on the weather, it was funny. When we were getting ready to go, I was looking at the weather and I see 75 degrees. And I'm like, is that a true 75 degrees, or is 75 degrees in Ireland different? Because I don't connect wearing shorts or even a golf skirt with Ireland. I just don't. And the weather was very mild and the temperature was very warm. I generally get cold. So even if it's 75 degrees, I can get away with wearing pants. But I pretty much just wore pants, and then I had like a base layer. And then the one day I did wear a thinner PXG sweater, but I think you'd be perfectly fine with wore some G4, like 3/4 or half zips that are like that thinner material, but I had a base layer on and then one of those over, and I was actually 2 of the days I was a little bit too warm, because you walk the course there and you're walking a lot of hills and stuff like that. So, and if the sun's out and it's warm, you would probably be able to get away with wearing shorts, but you just need to check out the forecast, see what the weather is like, and prepare. And I just had my rain gear in my bag, luckily. And you might have to break that out. You just never know. So it's good to have it when you do need it, because when it rains, it pours there.
Definitely. Yeah. The rain and the wind are going to be some adversaries for sure. I'm curious, playing in the wind and dealing with it. You get California breezes. I know a little bit of wind in the spring and fall in Texas, but what's that experience like playing in the wind overseas there? Does that change the way you strike the ball or swing the club at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
So on the fourth round I played, it was 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds.
Jeez. Okay. Wow.
And it was one of the most frustrating golf rounds I've ever had. I mean, the wind literally affects everything you do, even putts. So it's just such a different game than over here in San Diego. It's 75 sunny, a tiny light breeze. I mean, not that I took that weather for granted to golf in, I never did, but makes me appreciate it even more now. I mean, I have my one club, I hit my 6-iron around 150, 160 yards.
Okay.
With the wind, I think I hit it like 180. And then on a different hole into the wind, I think I hit it like 110.
Oh, brutal. Jesus.
Halfway through the round, I'm like, okay, I know what distance I have that I need to hit it, but I have no idea what club to hit because I have no clue how far any of them are going to go at this point, So it just made it really difficult. And if you hit too much club or too little club, depending on the wind, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And then it becomes very tough to recover. So it did make the round quite a bit more challenging, and my score was easily 10 strokes higher, if not a few more than 10 strokes higher than what I basically shot in another round on the same course, but just in different conditions.
Got it. I'm watching out for the wind. All right. That's going to be the main enemy. Love it. In terms of golf highlights for you, people can check out your Instagram for what's almost maybe a hole-in-one scare, but what's your favorite shot or hole that rings through from your most recent trip to Ireland in Sligo County?
Gosh, that's such a tough question because there were some beautiful golf holes right along the water. I would say maybe the one you called out when we were chatting before we started recording was the 9th hole. It's a par 3, has an incredible view of this mountain called Ben Bulben along the coast. So you can see water, you see this beautiful mountain. That day I took that video. The weather was perfect, just a very light little Irish breeze. And it was blue skies, sun was out, perfect temperature. And I mean, I hit this shot to like a foot. For an easy kick-in birdie. So that was a cool hole.
Definitely. Love it. One logistic thing I wanted to ask about regarding the travel, because we're both experiencing this going from the U.S. to Ireland. This is for anyone really taking that overseas golf trip. We're going to be taking that night flight where we're getting there in the morning and then we're hopping out to the course within hours of landing after doing the long flight. What's your travel advice? You're going all the way from West Coast to Ireland. How did you navigate that in terms of sleep versus awake time?
So I'm very lucky to have quite a bit of experience getting over to Europe with those red-eye flights. And I just try my best to sleep the hours that would make sense. You try to get your body on the time. Where are you flying from?
Austin, Texas here. Yeah. So
okay.
Central time zone.
So are you able to fly straight into Dublin?
No, stopping in Chicago. So it's going to be about a 7-hour flight from Chicago to Dublin.
Okay. So I would try to get as much sleep on that second leg as possible. I would bring some, I don't know. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I like to use other sources of caffeine. So, I would try to get some sleep, drink a lot of water, and then you might be relying on some espresso or coffee or whatever your choice of caffeine is. And I think you'll have a lot of adrenaline. You'll be very excited. What's the first course you're playing? Going into Dublin? Are you playing in Dublin?
Yeah, we're playing Royal Dublin first, and then a couple other courses in the area before we go down south.
Yeah, you'll just have to rely on your adrenaline. You'll be very excited to be there, and you'll be taking it all in. And so I think your adrenaline will also help and excitement will help carry you through that first day. But you'll probably be pretty tired by that evening. So just want to get some good rest.
Definitely. Yeah, in terms of the adrenaline and keeping the energy levels going, it's 4 rounds in a week, which for myself and the average amateur golfer is an extreme amount of golf to play 4 rounds in a week. You do a lot of good fitness content into how you kind of stay fit and fresh and healthy for all the golf you play. Outside of the extra stretching that I may have done recently, what's some good advice for someone out there who's going on a trip where they're all of a sudden going to be playing a lot of golf in a short amount of time?
Advil.
Okay, noted.
I'm just joking, but I'm joking, but also not joking.
Yep.
I think if you have a routine that you like to do for stretching and mobility, I think that's the most important. I try not to work out too much before rounds like that, because like I said, you are going to be walking, and you're going to be walking lots of miles throughout the day, and hills and all that kind of stuff, and navigating the terrain. So the first thing that goes on me is my back if I'm doing a lot of walking and whatnot. So,
Okay.
I would ease up on the workouts, but definitely if you have a stretching and mobility routine, I would do that in the morning, and I would do it at night. And then for in between, should you have the Advil, I use that sometimes, and it helps make a big difference. But yeah, you're young and you're fit. You'll be good.
Thanks again. Alyssa Kacar hopping on with us, just giving us a little bit of advice for our Ireland trip here. Let's get to the fun stuff now. I've heard a lot about traditional Irish food. Let's talk about eating in Ireland. I've heard about Irish breakfasts and stews and fish and chips, but what's stuck out to you most, and what's maybe the best thing you've had to eat in recent Ireland trips?
So you can't go wrong with, have you been to England and had the fry that they call it for breakfast?
Only my co-host has it. I have not been to England. No, it's my first Europe trip.
Okay. So Irish breakfast is very similar. They call it a fry, and it's a combination of sausage, bacon, eggs, black pudding, which I have not tried and do not have, but
that's the question mark for everyone, is that black pudding there. Everyone's wondering about that.
There's also white pudding and black pudding. The Irish love it. So there's that. You can't go wrong with I feel like they do soups and shepherd's pie, things like that, comfort foods. I feel like they do those really well. I don't indulge too much in traditional Irish food, but you have to promise me that you will try and do the Guinness challenge. Do you like Guinness?
Yes. So I've heard this has something to do with how much Guinness I drink, on the first sip, right?
Yes. So my group of friends does it a little bit differently, but in a Guinness glass, they have the word, there's the harp and then the word Guinness. So The goal is in the first sip, to get it the way we do it, you have to get it to the line of the beer between the harp, which is a tiny little line between the harp and the word Guinness. Okay. But the way a lot of other people do it is you have to split the G. So you know how there's in the G, it goes that, the line, you have to get it to the line of the G. So
I love that. It's kind of a little bit of a putting competition, closest to the pin, but with drinking.
Exactly. So we play it where you have to split the harp and the word Guinness, but other people will argue that you have to get it to split the G. And then you basically do it in a competition with other people. And if you don't succeed, you are then supposed to chug the entire beer.
Noted. Okay. Wow. I got to succeed then, because I don't know if I got the second part in me. So, all right, to the G it is. I love it. That's a good challenge. I will be trying that for sure.
Don't worry about chugging the beer, but it might be something fun for you to do with your travel partners.
Oh yeah, there will be Guinness, there will be whiskey for sure. It's going to be a fun time in Dublin and everywhere we go. I'm curious, what's maybe the best 19th hole meal you had in Ireland, if you can remember one. Your 19th hole answer the last time you came on the show was grilled fish tacos and a spicy skinny marg. So I'm doubting they had that in Ireland, but what did you enjoy maybe from a 19th hole for the clubhouse in Ireland?
I had gin and soda, not gin and tonic. Gin and soda was my 19th hole drink, especially walking off after that day with the 40-mile-per-hour winds. It was a captain's day at the golf course, so it was a competition. So, here I am trying to play my best and just absolutely frustrated. And I walked off the golf course and, my boyfriend and his friends had already finished probably 30 to 45 minutes before me. And they're all in there drinking, smiling, like they've already processed what just happened for the last 5 hours. And I'm walking in like fresh off of 18, like this. And that gin and soda went down nice and easy. And then I was like able to take a deep breath and relax and start having some fun again.
Yeah, one 19th hole drink usually puts a little bit of them in perspective. So it's good to hear.
I'm curious. Home, it's still the spicy margarita at home. I still like those. I had one Friday after I played. It was very good.
Nice. I just had some grilled shrimp tacos tonight as well, too, in honor of you.
There you go.
I'm curious, Alissa, what's up next for you travel-wise before we sign off? You're always doing something, going somewhere crazy. I saw you even fit in a Royal Ascot trip when you were over in Ireland most recently. But what do you got in like August and September travel-wise? Anything exciting at all?
Oh my gosh. Even earlier than that, I am leaving tomorrow to go to Calgary. So I will be in Calgary. I'm going to play at Banff Springs. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yep. So I'll be there till Tuesday. I come home for a day. Then I head to Tahoe for the ACC Championship and the Barracuda. Then I come home for a little bit, like a week. And then I'll be at the 3M Open in Minnesota, taking me to the end of July. And then for the first 2 weeks of August, I will be in Greece and Spain. And that's a personal trip that I'm really excited about. And that will be during my birthday too. So should
very
be really
cool. It sounds like you're getting some good PGA Tour time in as well too. The CUDA, 3M, that's nice.
Yes, I'm very excited. I went to the ACC last year. That was really fun. I'll be there this year with Travis Matthew and promoting their on-site activations for ACC. And then I'll be working directly with the Barracuda team and the 3M team. So very excited and looking forward to that as well.
Definitely. It was great seeing you on the trip with Cass Meyer, who we recently had on, and Tish as well in Mexico. Shout out that resort because you were looking like the Charlie's Angels of golf out there. That was some awesome photos and video.
Thank you. Yeah, it was beautiful. I'd never been to Punta Mita. So you fly into Puerto Vallarta. It's like maybe an hour drive to Punta Mita. We stayed at the Conrad, which was gorgeous, right on the water. The rooms were great. The food, the service. There was, when you travel, there's always maybe one little thing that sticks out that, I don't know, that isn't quite as good, or one little hiccup. There were zero hiccups. Everything was absolutely perfect, from the weather, the golf course, the serve, everything. It was perfect. And we had such a good time. And Jess, our agent, she was there with us, and we had Tessa along with us, and she shot a lot of the photos and videos. So all around, it was a great trip. We had fun, and we also shot a lot of great content.
Definitely. It's hard to keep up with you, but if you can, it's a New Lady Golfer on Instagram. Again, Alissa, thank you so much for hopping on, giving us the advice for our Ireland trip. And I can't wait to try the Guinness Challenge now. Yes,
of course. Have so much fun. I can't wait to hear all about it, see photos, hear about the courses that you played. I hope you have a great time and enjoy every moment.
That interview is brought to you by Zencastr. We've been using Zencastr forever on this podcast since the very beginning to record our audio. Of course, I am in Georgia. Alex is in Texas. So we need a good, high quality recording program that will make sure we get high fidelity audio. And this does a great job to do it. It's super stable, and everything is recorded on the person's individual computer. So if you have a connection issue, which sometimes we have, it's all right. All the audio is there. This is one of the reasons I love Zencastr. It's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. You log in with your browser, you start recording a high quality podcast right away. You record studio quality sound and up to 4K video even with your guests. You can feel a sense of zen knowing that Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording, removes those awkward pauses in conversation too, set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with a click of a button. Head on over to Zencastr, that's Zencastr, Zencastr.com/pricing, and use our promo code Course of Life, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of our podcasting and content needs. So again, that's Zencastr.com/pricing, It's time to share your story. And we're back. Great chat with Alissa. Again, we got to keep in mind our wardrobe for this trip, Alex. I'm right now used to 95 degree heat with 75 degree humidity. And it's just like it's 120 out there in the sun. There's no wind or anything.
Samesies.
And now we're going to go to this weather where it's going to be 65 and sunny maybe on 1, but by the time we get to 10, it's going to be 40 and rainy and 25 mile an hour gale force winds.
This is why we brought Alissa on. This is why we had Elizabeth on last week. We needed advice from people who actually travel and do this for real. We're just amateurs learning how to do this for real. And she's been in every climate and played everywhere in Ireland. So it was really great perspective from her. And also, I appreciate the fair warning about the wind. In my head, I have myself being wet a lot from the rain, but it seems like it's going to be more of a wind negotiation issue when we're out there playing next week.
The one thing I will say that I like knowing that there's going to be a lot of wind is that's the excuse for when I play as bad as I play. So it's the wind.
And no, but you if it's downwind into the wind, Mike, a crosswind's going to be interesting for us. That's going to be interesting to see how we navigate that. But downwind, it's all systems go. So you're out of excuses if we get 9 holes downwind. But then when we turn and we hit that breeze, that's when the excuses are coming out.
Look, whatever I can do to make sure that it's not my fault and my lack of play and my lack of ability for me playing so poorly, I'm going to take that excuse every day of the week.
There he is. We're always searching for the excuse. Love it. Thanks again for Alissa for hopping back on the show. Always keep up with her at New Lady Golfer. She traveled all over the place. She was just at Tahoe last weekend at the American Century. Her travels never end, as you could hear from her conversation. So she's a really great follow for golf and golf travel content as well.
And if you like that conversation with Alissa plus everything else we do here on this podcast, make sure you punch that subscribe button. You give us a rating of anywhere from 1 to 4 stars or a thumbs up or whatever the appropriate positive response is on the podcast app you're using. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Threads. We'll be posting everything from our trip from Ireland next week. COL Podcast, Course of Life Alex, MWRINC. We're on Twitter too, but I got to be honest, Alex, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm just on Threads. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I know. I'm enjoying Threads a little bit more as well, too. But Twitter's still crushing it for the breaking news, though. When news breaks, it's a little bit easier to filter and find things in the moment. So I'm still using it for that purpose. But regardless, you can find us wherever you are on social.
All right. Let's go down the wormhole of the week.
That's right. I got a couple random ones for you.
We just rolled out. So what wormhole did you go down?
Yeah, XIAOMA, Mike.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. XIAOMA, YouTuber, over 5 million subscribers. He's doing pretty good in the YouTube game. American kid, New York based, married to a Chinese woman. So he takes up not only Chinese, but basically he learns languages on the fly. He goes to Chinatown in New York City or different parts or different countries around the world, and he shocks people with a camera on by speaking their native tongue. He speaks Swahili to Kenyans in Africa. He speaks all different Indian dialects. He even did a video in Ireland, Mike, where he spoke the authentic, original, Gaelic language to some older Irish folks. So XIAOMA, a fascinating YouTube wormhole. And my other one, Mike, was chess. Just watching chess videos, grandmasters. There's a guy named Magnus Carlsen who's been a prodigy since he's a 2 or 3 year old. He
wrapped in scandal right now. Also,
I've heard a little bit about that. Yeah, I know he had a match against Gary Kasparov that I was watching, but fascinating to dive into the chess YouTube wormhole. You'll find some interesting characters on there. Let's just say that.
You will indeed.
Yeah.
Let's hashtag always end with food.
Yeah, let's get to the real good stuff here. Always end with food at AlwaysEndWithFood on Instagram for all of our food content nonsense. This is where we spill it out on Course of Life, though. We got a lot to get to. I got a couple. You got a couple as well, too. Mm-hmm. I'll lead the way, Mike. Outback Steakhouse. I made my return to the Outback for the first time in over a decade. How long has it been since you've been to the Outback?
It's been a long time, but from what I remember of them, the bloomin' onion is great and the steaks are over-seasoned.
Bloomin' onions still hit hard. Over-seasoned? Maybe. I don't know. I'd give it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I did the steak and coconut shrimp combo. Bloomin' onion's still amazing.
Yep.
Even got an extra side. They messed it up, so I got my baked potato for free, fully loaded. So good experience at the Outback overall. If you don't want to break the bank with the steak purchase, That's definitely still the move these days. So I'm leading off Always End with Food with my Outback review. We'll go 7.3 out of 10 overall.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let me follow it up with, I went to a much better restaurant than you this weekend.
I bet you did. Yeah. No offense to Outback.
No offense. Well, actually, yeah, offense to Outback. That's fine. I don't care if they take offense to this. So we were, my wife and I were celebrating our anniversary a month late because I tried to get a reservation at the Olde Pink House here in Savannah, which is world renowned. If you come to Savannah, it's at like the top of everyone's list as a place to go to. And I tried booking a reservation a month out from our actual anniversary, which was last month. And there was nothing unless I wanted to eat at 4:00 in the afternoon or 10:00 at night.
So typical.
So I was able to find something for this past weekend, and we were able to go, and it was excellent. It was as good as everyone said it was going to be. It was phenomenal.
App or salad start? What'd you guys get to entree?
So we did a crab dip starter special that they had, and it wasn't so much a dip as just like jumbo lump crab in a dish.
That works for me. Yeah, that's fine. No complaints.
Very crab forward. Not much of anything else in there for filler, so it was just nice and fresh and light. My wife got fried shrimp for the entree. Very classic, low country dish. And I got jumbo sea scallops, which were just beautifully done. Really simple, nothing crazy going on. Sort of mashed potatoes and green beans, just classic, super easy, and just executed perfectly. And it all started too with some nice, fresh, pillowy biscuits, which were also very good.
Yeah, you guys love the biscuit starter down there.
Yeah, I love that. It is the South.
Nice. Speaking of the travel and the eating, so we're traveling, Mike. You and I are going to be on transatlantic flights.
Yep.
And we're going to be served a meal. What do you think that's going to be? Have you looked into what that's going to be?
I'm assuming it's going to be either like chicken or steak, and I'm assuming it's going to be not very good.
Yeah, I mean, it looks decent from what I've seen. I think there's also maybe a pasta option, TBD, but I'm very curious to see what actually happens. I just found out the lovely news that since I'm flying from Chicago, I'm going to get some sort of hot breakfast sandwich right before we land. You'll be getting orange juice, so get excited for that as well, too. Yeah. But I'm very curious to see what the in-flight dining experience has been like, because as you and I know, when we travel mostly domestically, we're just in the age of just chips, peanuts, crackers, and a soda. Yeah. I haven't seen an actual meal on a flight in a long time. Sorry, people out there. I don't live the first class life like you might. So I haven't been privy to this. So this will be a unique experience for me.
Look, I'm expecting this to be maybe slightly better than frozen TV dinner quality, served on a tray, everything wrapped in plastic, and like a cup of water. Not even like literally like one of those little like applesauce cups, but filled with water. That's what I'm expecting.
If that's quota, I will sign off on quota right there.
Yeah. The question is, do you bring more food? Because you also don't want to eat too much because you want to fall asleep after the meal.
This is true. I think it's served pretty early. So hopefully they do it nice and early, and then we can be on our way for some shut-eye if it allows.
If it allows.
And what else we got? Oh, yeah, I sent you the bread mailbox story. What were your thoughts on this here?
So this was about a woman in Texas showing how hot it was baking a loaf of bread in her mailbox.
Our resident baker, what's your feedback here?
I have a feeling that while it probably was hot enough to bake the loaf of bread, you probably did not get the appropriate crust or rise out of that loaf. It was probably very flat and not very good.
Okay. All right. So no crust, no rise. Yeah. It probably did produce a bread substance though, right?
It produced something that could resemble bread if like ChatGPT was trying to make bread.
Interesting. Well said. Have you seen the burgers on the windshield, on the car windshield? Have you seen that video?
I've seen eggs on the sidewalk.
That's the one I'm thinking about doing. Is going out to a golf course and cooking an egg on the side of the cart path. Well, do you think that'll cook if it's 110 degrees out?
It might. If you're doing it at the end of the day after it's been just baking for the whole day.
This is all the stuff that you can look forward to following when you catch up with us on social media and you click subscribe right now. We thank you for tuning in to The Course of Life. That's a good wrap on this week's episode. We'll see you next week with a lot of exciting Ireland content coming your way. Thanks for tuning in.